So now can we take questions from the audience? We have time for a couple of questions? Sure. If you could give your first name.
Yeah, my name is Victor. Hi everyone.
Hey Victor.
First, I have to say, you know how I enjoyed your life. Congratulations for that. I have two questions. The first question is, what was the opinion about Elizabeth Taylor about it? What was our opinion about Elizabeth Taylor about the gay people in that time?
Did Elizabeth Taylor have a perspective on gays when you met her?
I was so closeted then that I never brought up the subject, but it's obvious that she was very comfortable with so many of her friends grew up Montgomery Clift and Mark Hudson, the well-known people. Gay didn't seem to be an issue with her. Roddy McDowell was a close friend. So she seemed to be, she had gay people in her life.
Okay, my second question is, what the letter said? I speak clear about the letter you wrote to your mother.
What about it?
I don't know, but...
What was in the letter to your mother?
About the fact that I didn't have an honest relationship with her because part of who I was concealed from her, and that I wanted her to know who I was, and that I loved her with every ounce of breath that I had, and that I hoped that we could have an honest relationship.
And it's a powerful letter, and it's in the book. Sure, the gentleman in the back of the room.
Pastor Michael Vincent Crea, One World Life Systems. David, I once said to the prisoners down in Laughton prison in Virginia, and you're living proof of this, that the bars and the barbed wire might keep them in, but it can't keep the Holy Spirit out. And all of your stories not only indicate that, and I'm sure it's told in the book, but you're to be emulated. I wanted to ask a question that I brought up to Brian Stevenson, who's with the Southern Law Project. Would you consider a cruel and unusual punishment that once a person who's been incarcerated returns to our society, that they be denied the vote? And do you know of other instances like Vermont, where actually I believe people are allowed to vote while they're incarcerated?
Well, Michael, a good point. That actually, the whiter the state, the more lenient the voting. It's disenfranchisement of Black Americans. It's in some states you never get your vote back. In other states after parole, and in Maine and Vermont you can vote, which are virtually all white. You can vote while you're still in prison. It's a way of disenfranchising Black Americans. It's what the criminal justice system has done is undo everything that Martin Luther King achieved through the drug laws, and the arrest, conviction, and sentencing through the drug laws have been racially selective. And it's so obvious, and when people say it's a post-racial area, all you have to do is go into our schools and prisons to see that we have a long way to go, and that voting, and it showed up in Florida in 2000. The number of disenfranchised people who cannot vote because of a fast felony. Taxation without representation is tyranny. Sir?
Thank you.
David, congratulations on the book. I'm looking forward to reading it. It's so
fascinating.
It's so fascinating hearing all your stories in person, because I'm so used to so many years hearing you on the radio.
Exactly.
And just loving your show for so long. And I wanted to let you know how much of a wonderful addition to my life that your show has been on BAI, in exposing me to things like the theater, which I never knew anything about before your show, and the music, and of course your political perspectives. And it's very educational as well as entertaining. I'm sure everyone would agree. So really, thank you for everything you do with the show. That's meant so much to me in my life. Can you tell a little story maybe about how you got started on the radio show at BAI? Because that didn't come up. Yeah. Can you maybe talk about how that got started?
Before I produced Fortune in Men's Eyes, I produced a play called Viet Rock, which was the first anti-war play in 1966, and was invited on BAI to be a guest, and then back. And I was very verbose apparently, because they kept asking me to be a guest. They were on 39th Street in a little townhouse. And they asked me if I wanted to do a program, and I designed one called Both Sides of the Bars, in which I would, for 4 years, it was me, and I moderated, and I had someone who had done time and someone from the system. And after 4 years, one day they just canceled it, and I thought, well, that's the end of BAI. But they kept inviting me back to be a guest, and then a great man named Samori Marksman became general manager, program director, and he said, we need you back. And I said, I don't want to do a criminal justice show, I want to be Martin Block. Martin Block was a disc jockey. He had a show called the Make Believe Ballroom that all the teenagers listened to in the 50s. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, I want to still express my strong opinions about the criminal justice system and politics and every other issue. But I think if you just do a criminal justice program, you have a limited audience. But if you play some music, you can pull some people in that might otherwise not be there. And I also said that if I can talk a lot about personal things in my life, if you humanize, if you become a person rather than just an opinion, people are more likely to listen to you. And I realized that one day when a lady on the subway said, I have breakfast with you every Saturday morning. And this was during the coup, and she said, and that man that comes on after you, he's not welcome in my home. And so I realized that when you're on the radio, you are in people's living rooms and bedrooms. And Michael calls me all the time during the show, and I always have to cut you off because there's not only 3 or 4 more calls, but the music is running out, and I'm not a good engineer, and I'm trying to do 2 things at once.
My favorite story is, so I'm in Jeans. I don't know how many of you ever done
the restaurant.
The restaurant Jeans. It's on
11th Street.
It's like walking back into pre-World War II. Anybody under the age of 80 brings down the average age by 10 years. So anyway, David and I, we have lunch, we have dinner regularly, and David gets the chicken and then brings home half the chicken. And so I'm sitting there, and somebody comes over, and and so in my arrogance of, I expect they come over to a table, and some gentleman starts like berating David about his review of a movie for 50 minutes.
I think what happened, the guy came, you're David from BAI, yes, and he starts talking about the movie, and I said, this is my friend Jim McGreevey. He said, yeah.
I want to talk about your review. Oh, it was great. Over here.
Oh yeah, hi. My name is Tony Boykin. David, I just wanted to say, because I listen to you all the time too, and I really enjoy, I love Out on the Limb, just because you just nailed the whole political system down to the wire, and I enjoy you so much. And I volunteered during VA a lot, so I've heard you a lot, and you were doing your name dropping show, and I was thinking as I was sitting here listening to you, and now with the exception of your book, did that propel you to write the book? Because
No, that lady did. That lady's sitting there.
Oh, okay.
I belong to the 14th Street Y, and afterwards we all sit around and chatter, and I was telling one of my stories, and she said, oh, stop telling him and write it down. And I said, oh yeah, who would care? And she said, I would. I'm a literary agent. You write it, I'll represent you. And she brought it to those people. We were all the applause publishing people, and they bought it, and you're all here, and I'm going home now.
When you listen to people on the radio, and I've been down to WBI, and I'm always, mostly when I see the radio personalities come in, when I'm in the pledge room or whatever, I'm always sort of surprised and somewhat disappointed when I see them. But like I said, I don't want to embarrass you, but I was thinking you were on the radio with Hugh, and that was the first time that I had heard you mention your age. And but I knew you were an elderly gentleman, but I didn't know at what age bracket, because I have that.
Let me give you, can I just take a clue? I don't say I'm 79 anymore, because when you say you're 79, people say, he's so old. But if you say you're in your 80th year, they applaud.
Well, I just wanted to say, I think you're so handsome and full of vitality, and you just really surprised me when I walked in the room. Because when I was looking at the flyer of you and Mr. Reed there, I was thinking, he talked, I just heard he was 80. I said, this must be a really old picture. But when I walked up and I said, you look so much like the picture that was on the flyer. And
You're so kind.
It's the YMCA.
What a way to...
I was going to give you my glasses.
Oh, stop. No,
That picture's 40 years old.
On the flyer.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to say that.
Well, I admired your taste.
Oh, well,
Wasn't that the interview with you? That was an excellent interview.
Oh,
He was so prepared. They're going to rerun it.
Both of you guys, I mean, well, Hugh is one of my favorites too.
Let me just tell you one thing about being on the radio is that when we were up at Sing Sing, a number of men, we weren't allowed to talk to them, but from the audience they said how important WBAI was to them, and one guy said, I can't wait till I get out and I can't get theater tickets from you. And I realized that, you know, when you're sitting in the studio, you don't realize there are guys sitting in a cell, and you are there linked to something else, that there's something better, and that you have a great sense of responsibility because they're counting on you for a little bit of wisdom and insight about what the free world is about, and maybe they have a shot at it.
And you just made me think about something else, and I'll stop. When just thinking about the parameters of your life, of living this life of celebrities, and then coming all the way across of really of being immersed with these people who saw life at the other end. I mean, what a great life. What a wonderful, wonderful life. And I'll end it there.
Thank you very much. Thank you all, and thank you to David for a great hour and a half, and thank you to the center. Have a good evening.